remain sensitive. That's where the beauty is. Beauty is not in a thick skin. It's a life missed, bypassed. Don't care how effectively it looks from the outside, how successfully it looks. It's missed. Thick skin misses the whole point. So if I had the goblet to the sensitive, like, but I don't, it's just a cup.
I feel so much vulnerability, as if I hadn't no skin. And it feels good because I know very well what numbness is. But I don't know how to live in this world with so much sensitivity. I find it increasingly difficult because the numbness goes away more and more. When I'm alone at home, and I'm a lot alone at home, it goes all very well. But at some point I feel really alone, and a lot of sadness comes in. And I feel it so difficult and so painful that it is not possible to connect with people who I love dearly from heart to heart, because I perceive them as closed. And after the immersion last year in Good Soundstorf, my mother had a bad fall, and I travel now more frequently to Germany. I left in 1989 because it was such a dysfunctional family and I needed to go away. But I never lost contact. I always traveled once a year, twice, but always with some distance. But after last summer, I started to care for my mother, and there's a lot of healing in that. But I always fall in an old trauma response, which is fawning, and I'm not able to do the necessary self-care. So when I come home with a lot of numbness, because it's the only way to survive somehow. Mm-hmm. And it seems that I'm oscillating somehow between this extreme sensitivity and numbness. I was a very strange child, born with this synesthetic, so different senses are merged, and there's always a lot of information coming in. Basically, when people speak, I see waves of colors, because all numbers and letters have colors and music. Mm-hmm. And I always knew things. Sometimes I hear it, sometimes I see it, but basically I know things, but I can't explain why. And when I was a little child, it was really difficult for me, because I was severely punished for things that I said. So I repressed that for a long time. And it comes all out with time. It's beautiful, but I don't know how to handle it. Especially with this situation now, where I'm traveling more and more to Germany.
I wonder if you remember when we had this series of online darshans, I think over a year period, as a kind of full cycle of various themes, with the first one being the child of awakening. It's still on our website, they all came kind of in order of importance. It was conceived as, well, since we're going back to do this online darshans, I thought this would be good to give it a really big theme that we can project over a period of time and go through. And this was how it was conceived. So it wasn't like spontaneous, on a spur of the moment, this theme would present itself, or just based on Q&As. It was emphatic. This was pre-COVID. Do you remember that? And we started with that relationship with the mother, a child of awakening here. It's obviously whenever there's a child, there's a mother. So that mother-child relationship, and you as an astrologer also know what it represents, right? In your chart, and you also know the dimension of that relationship in terms of the respective, let's say, planets and what it means. But of course, when it comes to understanding and when it comes to direct experiences, let's say, our own situations, we often feel helpless because these things are working from the gut level. They literally hold us in places where we feel completely helpless, completely, we fail to apply that wisdom that we may be even already placed in a position of sharing with others. When it comes to ourselves, suddenly, oh my. And I just want to first, reassure you that no one is exempt from that intensity, because mother-child intensity is the utmost intensity, give or take. And that utmost intensity here is, we can really dedicate a lot of time. And I truly recommend any one of you who haven't listened or watched that, I think it's going back to 2019, maybe before. Anyway, we can share that. Maybe someone can. We've tried to tread attentively to give this as much insight into why that is, for obvious reasons. But you know also, you must know that, that the relationship with mother at the level of its esoteric dimension represents the relationship to nature. So mother here is that. If it's a Samkhya, it's a Prakriti. We are born to Prakriti. Even if we are eternal in terms of our soul, in terms of the immortality of our soul, we are born to Prakriti. So if we take that stand, this is essentially the relationship. And mothers, this biological or the foster parent who is placed in that position, which has other karmic repercussions, which we can speak separately because it has some dimension that is not present in the biological mother. The connection between the child and the biological mother exists always exists, even if the mother left the child. Even something happened, they were separated at birth. There is this karmic connection remains there. Remember the story of the Kunti and Karna in the Mahabharata. And Kunti conceived Karna as the firstborn, and he was the son of the sun god. She tried the formula that she was taught when she did the penance and achieved the level of sadhana where Shiva appeared and granted her a boon. And she said she wants to conceive children and she doesn't have a husband. So he gave her formula to conceive children. So she conceived a child from each respective deities, starting with sun god. And the first child was Karna, but she could not bring him. She was very, very afraid, and she did not know what to do. So she literally, as the story with the Moses, she put him in a basket and sent him down the stream. And yet, many, many years after, when Karna came and entered the house of Pandavas, when he introduced himself, this is all prior to Kurukshetra, Kunti in her heart knew that that's her son before she even turned the head. She just heard the voice. See? And she did not dare to say this to anyone. Only her and Krishna knew that. Look at this, only her and Krishna. In other words, only Mother knows and consciousness itself. So Mother here literally represents the relationship with nature, relationship with Shakti, relationship with energy, relationship with Prakriti. Whereas the relationship with Father represents the relationship with the absolute Godhead. Here is universally shared. This is kind of runs as a stream in parallel alongside each other through so many cultures. So when it comes to the relationship with Mother, of course, this is where the karma is the most intense. And it can be an extraordinary, beautiful relationship. Tender, caring, this and that, very rare in our day and age. But even in those cases, when that happens, the bond itself is such that it does not release the child into the adult, because the connection is so strong. So the child remains tied to the love of the mother. I mean, look into the Judaism, the Bible, right? And all these kind of fundamentals of what the family and how the family tribe functions. Injunctions. One must leave, and when it comes to son in particular. But daughters and mothers have even stronger karma, even stronger. So, what to do? How to balance this act? I will just speak to some of the possibilities, and whatever feels somehow in resonance, and your intuition will immediately tell you what you ought to really adopt and implement. One of the ways is to consciously reverse the roles. So in other words, not reverse the roles like, oh, mother is old now, she needs my care, so I'm taking care of her. See? But I'm still her daughter. I'm in charge, like, no, mother, don't do this, do this. Okay, now we're going to have a bath, now we're going to have a tea, Sit down, watch TV, no, we're going to go for a walk. No, this is not what we're talking about. It's reversing the role. It's a tantric procedure where roles are shuffled. It's done in a variety of different ways, where within the scope of family relationships and connections, roles are flipped so as to do not follow into that pattern, which makes you or anyone, or as soon as it comes to my mother and my father, existent, non-existent, soon as it comes to my siblings, like you are fitted, squared into, like literally you fall into a groove. That groove. To come out of that groove, the roles are switched consciously. It could be as dramatic as your own child, still a child, being perceived in a different role. That's your mother, you see? That's your parent now. Child doesn't need to know. Your mother is your child now. So it has this also, what do they call in psychology? What is it, double psychology? I forgot that term. Reverse psychology, yes, thank you. It has this reversed psychology because you are taking the parental position now. Your mother doesn't need to know. She would not know anyway. But in your understanding, you are parenting her from a place of consciousness. So genetically, biologically, you are her daughter, but you are now parenting her. So this reverse psychology trick creates the possibility of you seeing these patterns, particularly all those unconscious patterns that impact and affect you and hit you or impact you in ways that you are helpless. Because everything smells even, like smells you grew up with, gestures, a tone of voice, a sentence. I just like it throws us back straight there and then into the concrete situation of how it was. And we don't want to be there. Rightly so, we've done it already. So this is why renunciate culture is different. In a renunciate culture, it's a clear cut. It's severed. It's cut. And you know what cuts the most? Relationship with the mother. Relationship with the mother in renunciate culture cut. There's no such thing as a soap opera of, I'm a sadhu, just gonna go and see my mother on a, somewhere like just to say hello. You can see your father, but your mother is gone. You don't have the mother. This is it. She's done her job. It's very austere, very, very maybe inhumane in some ways. Like if people don't understand the meaning, the reason, the purpose, it feels, what about the mother? How does she feel? Well, that's how it is. Someone who ready, ripe, and makes that decision, that's what it is. They take other parents consciously. Their parents are not the biological parents. So this reverse psychology is one of the ways of dealing with that. Another way of dealing with that, of course, is something which would require you to remain on top of your responses before you even go into any situation, which is difficult because you have to maintain that blanket or umbrella-like awareness, like you hold everything, yourself and your mother and the situation, you hold in consciousness. So every situation rises, you simply hold that in consciousness. You're not allowing, when the pattern introduce themselves, you are triggered just as much at the level of somatic, let's say, response. Again, in the gut, in the heart, you get triggered, but you hold this. You hold this with complete and utter detachment, uninvolvement. One way or another, the true relationship between mother and daughter can only really be fruitful when they meet at a very different plane altogether. When both understand that their respective roles are done. So it requires kind of maturity. It would require maturity on the part of our parents. And those are the blessed moments and situations, because mother, of course, would always have that ownership always over her child. It's the language of Prakriti. It's a language of Prakriti, claiming. Fathers, as a reflection of spirit, is constant detachment. Spirit is detached by essence. It's detached. one way or another, whatever culture we may speak, when we touch transcendence, we are not affected. It's like that. Prakriti holds on to, has a strong grip. It holds on to everything. That's the language of Prakriti. So, why? Because there is a lot of reasons for that. But you have to forgive yourself also. This is the third way. Forgive yourself in advance. So you go there with surrender. That's the third way. You're not going there at the level of preparing and carrying this, let's say, a halo or an aura that envelopes every situation and holds it all together, holds it all. You go there at the opposite end of this. You go there completely surrendered. You go there, whatever may come. You go there with the, okay, karma, bring it on. May it come as it will. You already have a different predisposition. You're no longer fighting it. You're no longer resisting it. You're going consciously, utterly and entirely for whatever might and will unfold and will trigger you. But that is the predisposition. The intentionality already there is such that everything that happens already has this something in you that you are prepared. So, in other words, you are prepared. Prepared what? It's like psychologically knowing, for example, about certain things, that's how it's going to pan out. This is the outcome, and I'm still going for it. See? It's the dharmic outcome, and not a dharmic predisposition. And when we go towards something, knowing very well that that's not what we want. That's not what feels in our best interest. That's not what gives me joy. We do that consciously. And there's a tremendous strength there. Because then you become who? You become yourself a Prakriti. You see, paradoxically. You become that Shakti, you become that energy. Because you already surrendered. You're going there with that, whatever may come, bring it on. I can take that. Why? Because I can take that. There's no why. It has no reason. It's simply that. So between these three, whatever chimes the most, you see, then you apply that. Then you apply that. And it's also, I would say, perhaps the most paradoxically at once humane, noble, and honest as well. No, because we do not yield, we do not try to pretend, we accept. We accept our humble or not humble origins, and we pay tribute to our mother. Because mother is God, before any God. You know that because you study within the Vedic tradition. First we bow to the mother, then we bow to the, right, guru, and then we bow to the deities. That's the order, at least Vedic order. The first bow goes to the parent, to the mother. So that's a wise choice. I think if that's what resonates with you. Because at some point, making the right choices also frees us from a lot of unwanted stuff. And about that negativity in the world and sensitivity, we live in such time when negativity is on rampage, not on the rise. In the past, maybe we could say negativity is on the rise. Negativity is having a ball. It's having a. So where does that leaves us? Well, again, it leaves us with choices, right? And it's a great reminder as well. Adjust our compass all the time. And yes, we're sensitive, and it felt very fitting to say that to a 20-something. In his early 20s, young man we had. We were sitting just like you, very close, like this. I think it was in Freiburg or Berlin on first night. About where to find inspiration, what to do in life, and not knowing where to plunge oneself. And I was thanking the generation of, because the contemporaries and his generation is look at him, and this lovely, attractive, long hair man, really, a musician. And I said it's because of people like you who are sensitive enough. That's where consciousness can rest. That's where consciousness can be held. In those who don't know, who can give themselves to that, to the sensitive ones. How else can new consciousness, how else can consciousness come? How else there can be a paradigm shift? If there is a constant constant bullying, elbowing, trying, constantly on top. Succeed in what? Succeed like a human being, realize what that means. Then everything else will be success. Otherwise, success is a shallow, hollow world, and word as well. So yes, the world is now showing its aggressive teeth, in a sense that because there is this, what is having its momentum, outlived itself. It's collapsing. It's on its way out, we could say. So because of that, it feels everything is polarized even more. And that polarization is a good thing, because ultimately speaking, this is what makes things clear, very clear. Just like in every epic, there comes a moment when respective players, characters, take respective sides. So when that happens, then Krishna is a charioteer. He rides across these epics they speak now. This is happening right now, and it's very clear. So whoever is being pulled to whatever side, the destiny is now already decided. The destiny is decided. If we tend to our consciousness, that's what we choose. We chose Krishna consciousness. Staying with the Gita's example. Someone can choose Krishna's army, millions, trillions, his army, because that's where the might seems, the power seems. What Krishna can do, a blue god, he can't even fight. He's not going to fight. He said, I'm not going to fight. I'm not involved. The destiny is decided. The outcome is decided. So also, I'm always feel like somehow it comes, I don't even know where it comes, but always for the sensitive, to the sensitive of us. Your heart is a heart of a lioness. You are lioness. Even as you sit like that, we are equal. You are lioness. Why? Because I'm a lion and I recognize lioness. That's what it means. You may be feel frail, you may feel sensitive, you may feel that things threaten you, but it's in the strength of the heart. Our strength is only in the heart. All other strength is puny, temporal. In the heart that we're strong. So therefore, roar like a lion. Roar like a lioness. Rise to your status and heck with everything else. Plainly speaking. So that's to the sensitivity. Remain sensitive. That's where the beauty is. Beauty is not in a thick skin. It's a life missed, bypassed. Don't care how effectively it looks from the outside, how successfully it looks. It's missed. Thick skin misses the whole point. So if I had the goblet to the sensitive, like, but I don't, it's just a cup. And just water. So, thank you. Thank you. Beautiful question and beautiful sharing.